show you respect because you have power. Not because I actually respect you as an artist.
I don't actually respect you as a person or an artist, but I'm scared of what can happen.
Armies are going to kill you.
Hi everyone!
Hi you guys.
Today, me and Mom are watching something special. We are watching Boracity Magazine's Respect Your Seniors, Mock Your Juniors. BTS's lesson on respect.
Okay.
There was something that I know that I and a few other armies kind of felt a little uneasy on in one of the last Runjin episodes that we watched. And that was kind of how some of the other artists were talking about, oh, I ignored BTS back in the day and, things like that. And it's like, well, why is that a thing? And why, this is a really, really cool video. And I thought Mom really needed to see it.
Yes.
So we are taking the time to watch it with you guys. And, it is really good.
Very touching.
It's touching and it's
sad.
It's sad because it shows like what they had to go through and how they were treated just because of the way that the culture is and the hierarchy in Korea and
they were low on the totem
industry
pole as far as who they were with and who they signed with and everything.
Exactly. So it gives a really good overview of all of that.
Because they all felt higher than him.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so I feel like it's good to watch. Ready?
Yes.
All right. Let's go.
Okay.
In one of the latest episodes of Runjin, Jin of BTS had 4 famous guests, a singer and 3 comedians. As comedians do, the first thing they do when they enter the room is joke about being there with ulterior motives. They each want to promote something.
They are comedians and they're there to promote. So it makes sense.
What has really started a lot of conversations within the BTS fandom is the reason why one of these comedians accepted the invitations.
하고 약간 사연이 좀 있는 게 샤브님 집에서 맛있는 거 먹으면서 얘기하다가 나한테 섭섭함을 한번 토론한 적이 있어요. 제가요? 제가요?
기대가 있어야 섭섭한 거 아니에요?
근데 나도 BTS가 나한테 섭섭한 거.
너무 부럽다.
나 너무 궁금해 뭐지?
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I heard his feelings.
나한테 인사를 했는데 내가 인사를 잘 안 받아서.
전혀 기억은 안 나는데 너무하신 거 아니에요?
I don't remember it all, but how could you?
그래서 내가
섭섭하다.
너무 섭하다.
다리 승품이 주저앉았어요. 내가 너에게 그건 아니지. 그건 아니지. 근데 그것도 풀겸 바로 달려.
좋습니다.
This seems like it's not that big of a deal. This comedian is jokingly apologizing about a past awkward situation, and Jin is joking about it as well. This incident is so insignificant to Jin that he cannot even remember what happened, and he had no problem inviting this comedian to his show. So why is this moment being debated by fans? The answer is a little more complicated than it seems.
Yes.
So please let me finish the full idea. As BTS started growing in popularity, it only became more and more evident how truly extreme, normalized, and damaging power dynamics can be in the South Korean entertainment industry. Most K-pop fans are aware of the importance of respecting your seniors or some memes that exists not just in K-pop but in South Korea. It's a cultural thing. It's in their language. It's in all their interactions. Most K-pop fans also know the power that the big 3 K-pop labels have. So we know that the ones with power because of age, popularity, or seniority deserve respect. Junior groups should bow down to their seniors, and not lazily or there can be a scandal. Now, none of this is being praised or criticized by fans. What is actually being talked about now is how this dynamic is perceived by the juniors, especially the juniors with no company seniors.
You only see it from the seniors.
Kind of
you don't
power.
see it really
Because
from the
BTS
juniors' point of
started
view.
With no popularity, seniority, money, or power, they were expected to accept humiliation by their seniors, to not complain about it, and to show respect either way. Of course, BTS were not the only group to receive this kind of treatment, but they are the only ones who were able to completely flip the dynamic and expose it fully. BTS became the biggest group not just in K-pop but in the world. So now, the seniors who humiliated them publicly or privately a decade ago seem forced to apologize. This creates a complicated and sometimes emotional layer to this very simple clip.
Especially for the fans. First step, ignoring.
Yeah.
Like I've mentioned, K-pop fans know about the ways in which seniors should be treated because seniors call juniors out when they don't do it. But how did the seniors treat the juniors back? In the case of BTS, the response they got when they first started was literally nothing. As artists with no power or fame, they were not approached by anyone around them.
Nobody
In their
even came
book
over to
Beyond
say
the
hi or
Story,
anything.
BTS explains that they were given no attention at the award shows. They were dwarfed by countless established artists who were already beloved by the public. And because BTS was the only group from Big Hit Entertainment to attend, they did not have older colleagues from the company to introduce them to other artists. No one spoke to them.
Yeah, that reminds me of like Regency era England, like Jane Austen and stuff. It's like, you can't speak to him, you haven't been introduced.
Yes.
You know, that kind of gave me that kind of a feeling.
That kind of vibe.
Yeah, and so then they're just alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just
And
show
they
up
weren't
and
allowed to approach anybody.
No. So,
And they could not approach
without it being
anyone.
rude.
Yeah.
All they could do was attend the award shows, step onto the stage to give brief comments and thanks, and return straight to the dormitory.
That can
The
be
first two
demoralizing.
BTS albums had low
You know?
sales
Very,
that kept
Candace,
increasing
very.
little by little. These albums also got good audience reception. But of course, none of these matters to the industry or to other K-pop groups
That are all
who were
above them.
light years above them. BTS explained that this indifference by the industry didn't stop them. Let's remember that this treatment was mostly behind the scenes. We didn't know this was going on. So BTS simply stayed silent and continued fighting. What truly shocked them was their first public humiliation.
this one.
RM and Suga started their musical careers as underground rappers.
Yes.
And in some ways,
I
they
think we
left
watched a
this
little bit
world
of this
to join
in Rise of
BTS in
Bangtan.
the K-pop idol industry. This was not the easiest route to success though, because BTS's journey in the K-pop industry was so difficult. They lacked the resources and opportunities others had in the industry, and in many ways, they could have suffered less in the industry as independent artists or producers. But this risky decision and struggle didn't matter to their former friends from the rap scene. To them, BTS were just like the privileged idols from the big three, and they had to be called out. Ironically, BTS was not invited to many TV shows, so one of their first interviews was at a hip-hop podcast.
no.
And they
This
were
was the
invited
moment when
to be
RM and Suga were publicly
Yeah.
insulted. They were accused of being sellouts, wearing makeup, performing as girls, and so much more.
방탄소년단이 무대에 올라갔을 때 등장을 한다.
This was in 2013, okay?
Okay.
2013, Namjoon was 19 years old. 18 or 19 years old. Suga was like 20.
How do you get over something like that?
Right? It's like they were so young in this.
How old are these guys that are...
They're like 10 years older than them. And they call them on here just to put them down.
Yeah, they're
It's for-
sellouts.
to
You're
s-
wearing makeup.
Yeah,
You act like girls.
complete public humiliation.
또 메이크업을 하는 건 이제 어떤 힙합과 충돌되는 부분이
아니
있을 것
그냥
같은데.
그런 게 아니라 여자. 하고 싶은
See, they thought they were going to be able to discuss hip hop with them.
Yeah.
머리를 오가면서 그러면서 곡을 써서 파는데 불구하고
그러면 지금은 약간
Oh, so you're just doing it for the money. Like, aren't they all doing it for the money?
하고 싶다. 뭘로? 제가 당시하고
Oh, they're artists. They're
Yeah, yeah,
이름도 없고 아무것도 없고
yeah. And guy with the microphone went to prison.
Did he?
Yeah, be free. He did go to jail for a while. We don't like him.
For what? For doing
For
what?
who knows what he did it. Who knows?
But he went to jail.
He was in prison for a while. Jerk face. He resurfaces every once in a
so they
while.
want
But yeah,
these guys to come in their type of group. and-
his big claim to fame is putting down Namjoon and Suga. That's his big claim to fame.
같이 같은 길을 갈 수 있었던 사람들이
You were on the same path as us, but you couldn't win over the temptation.
같이 뭔가
All of this, of course, was excused and celebrated because this is
That's
how
how
hip-hop
hip-hop
is. And teenagers Suga and RM were ready to respond with songs directed at everyone who insulted them.
And they did,
Yes,
and
they
it was
did.
awesome.
10 years older than them. RM said, taking an insult like that to our faces and from someone in the same industry. That was when I learned how to respond when you're walking down the street and you get slapped in the face out of nowhere. Another irony is that a TV show finally reached out to RM and BTS, and it was to talk about this incident, which
And-
they accepted by law.
And I've seen that one. They treated him really bad on that.
On this TV show?
Yeah. The artists came on that knew Namjoon and were friends, and then they were saying like a bunch of crap behind his back before they had the conversations with him. And then he had to read mean tweets about himself.
Oh, no.
Saying he was ugly and saying he was this and that and how could he even be an idol?
No.
It's like, yeah, so I was not a fan of that particular show either. But
how can you say he's ugly?
Everybody says it was. I don't understand it at all. But anyway, it made me so mad.
What intrigues me is once again who are always the targets. There are many rappers in K-pop.
Yeah.
There are many underground rappers who become K-pop idols. But the ones who were called out were the easy targets, the
ones with
juniors.
Unknown juniors, the
There
nobodies.
is an underground rapper who in 2014 made a popular song dissing many K-pop rappers. Although he became a big 3 K-pop idol himself just the next year. But that's besides the point. The interesting thing about this is that the K-pop rappers he dissed were always from small labels, never the big 3. His real competition. So of course, he had to diss RM and BTS. After BTS grew in popularity, the rapper was asked why he dissed them. But he just gave the microphone to his CEO who answered for him, saying that rappers diss each other.
Now, what's interesting about this one, we watched BTS at an award show, and they had like I think they're going to talk about it in a little bit, but he dissed RM right before that performance. We'll get there.
Okay.
I stopped it a little early, but he was asked why did it?
In 2024, 10 years after he dissed RM and BTS, the rapper admitted he was too scared of going after a big group.
그때 그런 게 있었거든요. 왜 엑소는 안 건드리? 그때 솔직한 답변으로 엑소를 건드리면 죽을 것 같으니까.
And this is something I don't see a lot of people talking about. It's true that diss tracks are part of hip-hop, and RM and Suga know that very well. But consistently going after small rappers completely unprovoked, while purposefully avoiding confronting rappers from your same level of fame, I would say it's at the very least lame. But this pattern is common because it works.
That makes going up the ladder harder
for them if they
keep pounding them down, but they keep coming up and
just keep this.
And they said a lot of
the big 3 didn't debut any groups into the
that they did. My brain didn't want to work now.
That's okay.
Like I had something to say, but they said that other rappers and other groups that were dissed like that ended up disbanding and not going anywhere because they couldn't respond. The only reason that they survived is because Suga and Namjoon responded.
Okay.
And they were able to
pushing
fight back.
Pushing.
Yeah.
When somebody's got like a 10-pound weight on you or
and
50
then so
pound
he's able
weight,
to push
and
over
you gotta
that.
keep pushing that weight up. That is hard.
And they did, and they got stronger with each one, so it was good. Now here we're talking about like how the big three main companies didn't debut any new groups in 2013.
Okay.
So only they did in 2012 and they did in 2014, but they didn't debut any, like no girl group or boy group. None of the big 3 did.
Okay.
So
this gave
that
BTS,
and BTS was
an opportunity.
Yeah. But
2013.
Yeah,
so
listen
out
what
of
she says.
All these 2013
out of
small
all those groups,
only BTS survived. And in a way, surviving gave them even more trouble because as the unwelcome guests, everything and
they
everyone
were unwelcome
was
guests.
against them.
Nobody
People
wanted
wouldn't
them
call
there.
them by their names. They referred to them as those bulletproof best guys. So of course, the only opportunities networks gave the unwelcome guests came with false pretenses.
That performance, we watched that one? Yes. So what I'll tell you about that performance that had to do with the other rapper guy, he dropped the diss track for RM the night before this performance. And usually in the rapping circles, you have to respond either at your very next performance or in a song you release before your next performance. So he dissed him right before a performance.
So he couldn't do the performance?
No, he changed what he was supposed to rap and wrote a response to the diss track and performed it there. Namjoon did.
Oh my.
I had no idea when we watched this the first time when we reacted to it. I had no idea that that's what he had done. And that's why we'd never heard him rap that before, and he's never rapped it again. Because he wrote it the night of and then performed it had it memorized and performed the next day.
That's
Yeah.
That's talent.
That is talent. But it was a trap. And then this also, I didn't know that this was a trap. But yeah, you'll see. It's
For
really,
the normal watcher, you don't know.
you
all
don't
these
see
things.
that. And that's what she even said at the beginning. She goes, a lot of the ignoring stuff we didn't understand or we didn't see as fans. It was all behind the scenes.
And it's not in
how they
our
were
culture.
treated. It's not in our culture at
Yeah.
all.
So
No.
so to understand
of
it, you
thing.
really have to delve into the culture.
Yeah.
And realize what they're doing to them. Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Exactly.
Okay.
Ugh.
BTS was invited to perform a collaborative stage with
Yes.
a K-pop group 2 years their senior at the 2014 Mamas. However, this was marketed as a confrontation, not as the friendly collaborative stage they thought it would be.
They thought it
This
was going to be a
trip came
collaborative
at the
stage, and
worst
suddenly
time
it was
for
a fight.
BTS. This was a somewhat small, stressful situation on top of a season full of false hope and
Yeah.
disappointment. After the school trilogy, BTS prepared a project that put the future of their team on the line. Their first studio album, Dark and Wild, and its single, Danger.
And it
They
was-
went to the US to shoot their first show, American Hustle Life, while recording their album simultaneously in a garage. They wrote, recorded, and selected songs more diligently than ever. They planned their hardest choreography and then changed it again and again to perfection. They shoot their show until 8 p.m., then they practiced their performances all night and went to the accommodations at sunrise, covered in sweat. They slept for some hours and then they started shooting again. They were so sleepy, they used to sneak into the bathroom to take naps. However, their big project didn't receive any nominations.
No.
Suga said, "We suffered so much for it. So why?" About this era, their book says, the grueling practice sessions leading up to the Mama performance were not solely because of the friendly competition. BTS was truly desperate. J-Hope says, all those performances for Danger were really exhausting. When we had that comeback with Danger, releasing the Dark and Wild album, we'd done about 20 music show pre-recordings and then went to a
20
different program where they
pre-recordings.
announced first place. We were told we had to be there. So we went up there live, completely out of it.
See, they
Then
were
it turned
told they
out
had to
we
be
weren't
there.
even candidates for
They
first
were
place,
required
which
to be
I
there, and they
think
weren't
was
even
a big
candidates.
shock. J-Hope's shock was not purely due to their performance on the rankings. V tentatively goes into further detail about the situation. It's fine if other teams are named as candidates for first place. We just need to work harder. But at the broadcasting stations, we'd always be the first to say hello and greet everyone, the seniors and the juniors alike. But some people just ignored us or passed right by, or mocked us for
Mocked
not
them.
being candidates for top place. After the broadcast, we all got into the van together. Someone was crying, someone was getting really mad, and someone just couldn't speak. That unspeakable disappointment and that tear-jerking emotion was too much. So the first podcast appearance served as some kind of trap. The multiple invitations to the winners' ceremonies also felt like traps. And their
Yes.
first collaborative stage was also a trap. Seniors made fun of them in front of the camera and behind the stage. Now it's the turn of the variety shows.
Yeah, it makes you mad, doesn't it?
Yes, it
Oh,
does.
it's like
They didn't want them to succeed at all.
No, they
wanted
shouldn't
them-
have. They
Yeah.
were the only group from 2013 that survived, but because they weren't from the big three, they shouldn't have survived.
Yeah.
How dare they
Yeah.
survive?
They had
Yeah.
more pressure on them not to survive.
Exactly.
And they pushed.
Exactly. Now, The Rise.
BTS was finally getting some real recognition in 2015. The
Yep.
fandom was truly growing. So Jungkook had his first solo variety show appearance. Jungkook enthusiastically
hate this.
bought food and drinks for
Hate this with a
everyone as a
passion.
gift. However, the cast rejected the food and made fun of Jungkook for buying it. They accused him of giving them leftovers.
먹다 남긴 느낌인데.
아니 새 거예요. 아 진짜 새 거예요.
The cast gave the food back to Jungkook and walked away.
안 빨았어.
이 꽃길이 무슨 길이냐?
He's weird.
아 이거 치워라. 아 이거 뭐 이렇게.
Jungkook seems shyer than normal the rest of the episode.
Yeah, look at his
These are some
face.
comments about what happened. You're missing the point that it's variety. It is part of variety to be rude. It's Korean humor. Jungkook is not the first
No,
or
but
the
that's-
last to be
yeah,
quote-unquote
that's uncalled for
disrespected
humor.
on TV.
Yeah.
It's variety. Let me repeat. It's variety.
No.
Acting rude is honestly one of the mildest things that could
So,
happen
yeah.
on variety. I honestly wonder how would you guys have survived if this was second generation, where comments on variety were straight up biting lots of times, and games were physical and taxing. And once again, I need to bring back the topic
Look
of
at-
this video.
look at him.
In this scenario, Jungkook is the junior.
junior.
He is showing respect. He is bringing a gift. But the expectation from him is not just to show respect. It's also to accept humiliation, which he did the rest of the episode, showing no complaints. He even urged fans to stop voting for him, as to not offend the rest of the cast. Not long after this incident, BTS was invited to perform at the Busan One Asia Festival 2016. BTS were included in the promotions. ARMYs bought tickets
I've
and
seen
tuned
this
into
a
the
lot,
online broadcast.
video from
However,
this.
at the last minute, the event posted a comment in the online broadcast which said, "Due to circumstances of the artist, BTS will not be appearing in
What?
today's broadcast." This was a lie.
I think what happened was Namjoon couldn't do it. Namjoon somehow couldn't be in the
Be there?
performance. So they were like, "Oh, you can't do it now." And they were like, "No, we can." And
Yeah.
they still cut them. They had makeup ready, they had everything on.
BTS had their makeup, outfits, and microphones ready. Their fans were there in the audience, but the show ended and BTS was completely cut. After the performers left the stage, BTS refused to leave, and they performed their full set in a stage with leftover confetti while no cameras were rolling. This type of fighting attitude as a response to bullying and mistreatment must have really pissed off the industry.
Wow.
They did
yeah.
it. They did it because their fans had come to see them. And they're like, "We can't let our fans go away without performing for them." And so they begged to be let on stage. Look at how it's covered in confetti. And like the lights are all
It's over,
off. It's
yeah.
over. But they
But
let
their fans are there.
Yeah.
Look at the fans.
Yeah. And this see, because there's only 6 on stage. But it's like, it was just so maddening.
But that showed
Yeah.
too their perseverance to really
Yeah.
push again, to keep pushing and whatever. They're not going to get us down.
Exactly.
You know, even though it does get them down, even though they are emotionally involved, but I think their unity of the group
Yeah.
really helped. You know, when one's down,
And
they're
they're-
going, "We can do
yeah.
this. Let's do this." "No, I don't want to. Let's do it."
And
And then, "Okay, we'll do it." And,
Also,
you know?
another thing that was a big thing of BTS is BTS wanted to perform. They're like, "We don't care if we are nominated or win or whatever. We want to perform.
Yeah.
We want to."
They've
That's
worked hard.
That's
for
what their
they're-
connection is.
Well, and they practice and practice and
Yeah.
work and work so that they can perform what they've worked on.
exactly.
I mean, that's just a
Exactly.
normal thing. It's not just to get up and perform to get applause.
Yeah.
It's they that's part of their nature of how
Yeah.
much they've worked on a project.
I saw a video and somebody was like, I bet you can't see why we're watching this, and it's just this it's a model, like modeling like they're showing like a fashion show. And over in the dark corner is BTS performing. Over in the dark corner, they're performing and singing over in this corner for this fashion show because they were taking anything that they could to perform. It did, yeah. Ugh. How many people do that now? You know,
They're too high and mighty.
A lot
times,
of-
you know?
a lot of
you
the
have
groups,
to be
yeah.
so humble
Yeah.
to do something like that. You have to
Exactly.
really put your ego aside and say, "Okay, we'll go in the corner and perform."
exactly.
You know, and they did, and again, it's that push they had. Push, push. And
Remember, the Big Three didn't create
Yes.
any groups in 2013, so no 2013 group should survive. But BTS was not just surviving. They started to become a real threat to their seniors. And in this context, it's important to understand the future hostility BTS will receive in the industry. BTS started outselling the biggest of the biggest groups in K-pop. So the easiest thing was to accuse BTS of everything.
Of everything.
Big
That's
three
where they
fans
told them
accused
they were
BTS of the
cheating.
illegal
Yeah, we
practice
saw
of side
the
distribution,
one
which
that
basically
that
meant
talked
they were
about
buying
this.
their own albums. This was at a time when BTS's label didn't have the means to do something like this, especially to the point of outselling the Big Three. Big Three fans accused BTS of mocking the music of Big Three groups when they were just singing along to it. Big Three fans accused BTS of copying multiple Big Three groups, from outfits to common phrases. When BTS received their first music show win, when they held their own concerts, or had any special moments, Big Three fans joined forces in movements of hate so big that BTS has addressed these campaigns multiple times.
Why did they
because
hate us?
BTS started outselling everyone, Big Three fans called award shows customer service and made petitions to the Blue House to investigate BTS and award shows. BTS
my
was brought to
gosh.
court, and
Yeah.
they of course
They had to go to
won their
court.
case. They organically outsold the Big Three. But many of their fans still believe that for some reason their groups were being sabotaged. You can easily find these fans today. After all these petitions, BTS still won major categories at Mama 2017.
Yeah, look at their
Look at these girls behind them.
And at
Yeah,
the
they're
award
not
show,
happy.
the Big
No.
Three group cried. If you search for any of these videos, Big Three fans are still convinced in the comments that their favorite group was crying because they were robbed. Some accused BTS of cheating, while others accused the award show of being biased and favoring BTS, ignoring that BTS simply had the biggest year any K-pop group had globally up until that point. Now you may think, who cares about baseless accusations by fans? This is just a fandom thing that went too far. If senior groups would not even acknowledge BTS backstage, do you really think they wouldn't join this hate train as well? The odds really are against them, but that's behind.
And we should never assume, since BTS always avoids mentioning names. But we also know, kind of. I don't say.
And
Candy
since
knows
so
a
we
lot.
don't
She's
know with
researched
certainty.
much.
What we know is that after the hate campaign started, as always, BTS continued fighting.
Fighting.
They performed at the Cannes Music Chart Awards in February of 2017. During their performance, the organizers at the event showed a very generic, no-signal background. But apparently, a Big Three artist used it first, specifically a YG artist. A YG stage producer then posted a picture of the background on her Instagram account.
The
with
producer.
caption,
Like this. No
our
signal.
hard work, and a pub.
Yeah, took a picture of BTS's thing and said, our hard work. A producer for the other group.
Sold emoji, insinuating that BTS's stage is YG's hard work. BTS copied them. The family of two of the members of the YG group liked the
Family
post,
members
which
of the group
motivated
liked the
Big Three
post.
fans to accuse BTS even harder. Now it was not just fan wars. The family and producers of Big Three groups were then involved, and no statement from Big Hit
Yeah. And guess, Big Hit didn't even choose to do that. The producers of the show, of the awards show, used that.
They did that.
Yeah, they did that. It wasn't even BTS
They had all
that
the
chose to
stack
do
against
it.
them.
All
All
of
the
it,
awards
yeah.
themselves clarifying that BTS was not in charge of the background could
Yeah.
stop it.
방탄소년단.
방탄소년단.
Forgiven.
BTS.
Forgiven.
BTS started 2017 with this terrible situation, but as I've mentioned, their attitude of never letting others stop them finally started paying off. In 2017, BTS became the first Korean group to receive a nomination at the Billboard Music Awards. They attended and won, so that year they had their American TV debut at the American Music
I
Awards.
watched it,
Now
I
the world
watched
will
it.
start to shift. The ones with popularity,
Yeah.
money, power, and sometimes even seniority are BTS.
Suddenly-
Big three groups were then losing major awards for the first time ever.
Oh
And
my.
despite their losses, they somehow managed to be the big ending
Yeah.
performance at award shows, leaving audiences confused as to why the actual biggest group was not getting the biggest stage. But most times, big three groups would simply boycott the shows.
That's
If
what
they are not
happens.
given awards, they are not attending, and they are not performing. Sometimes making their company's juniors protest with them.
So the company's like, well, if you're not going to give our artists any awards, then we're not
Gonna
then
perform.
We're not going to perform, and we're not going to let any of our other groups come to perform.
Yeah, they'll boycott them
Yeah,
all.
they completely were. And they're like, see, if you sell tickets now, still sold tickets. But that was a big thing that started happening, was groups completely boycotting the shows and not even going.
Now, while at the top, BTS continues choosing to do something I don't know I could do. They choose to forgive. After that, underground rapper turned K-pop idol dissed RM, BTS, and other small rappers, RM met him backstage and they high-five. Although they are not friends, they really do seem fine with each other.
디스하고 하셨고
네.
RM님도 바비님의 의도를 알기 때문에 맞받아서 맞디스 해주고 하면서
네.
재밌는 그림이 나왔는데
그렇죠.
In 2021, BTS was invited to the variety show hosted by the
We need to
comedian
watch
who
that.
rejected Jungkook's food and made him feel uncomfortable. Jungkook reached out to him privately before the show, and during the actual show, they laughed and hugged.
더 못 써준 것 같아요, 진짜. 탁볼 표현은 늙었다. 저는 그렇게 표현한 적이 없습니다.
Now they gotta suck up
Yeah,
to him.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it feels off. That's why
Although
armies
his
don't
brother
like it and
added fuel
something
to the
feels
fire
off.
by
And
liking
she
that
talks about
plagiarism
that.
post, BTS seems to be
Yeah.
okay with this singer. Jimin even collaborated with him. TV networks that mistreated BTS are now apologizing. That underground rapper who insulted them in their first podcast appearance asks for forgiveness every couple of years to get some attention because he always retracts his apology. And on top of everything, celebrities we thought never had problems with BTS are now jokingly telling the members in their own show that they also disrespected them back in the day.
Yeah.
Every year, there's a reconciliation with no
real public apology.
Having mistreated BTS in the past and being good with them now is almost an achievement. It's something to be jealous of. But
See,
what
I'm so
about the
jealous.
feelings of that small group crying in their car after being humiliated on TV and behind the scenes time and time again? What about the hundreds of groups being bullied to disbandment because of unprovoked confrontations started by way bigger performers?
둘, 셋, 안녕하세요. 감사합니다.
Performative respect.
It's amazing
That's what
and
we don't like.
incredibly mature that the BTS members are continually choosing to forgive and move on, even purposefully hiding the identities of the idols who mocked them in their debut years. But
That's
what
really
comes
smart,
as
though, that they're
extremely
doing that.
difficult to process
Because
as
that-
fans
yeah.
then they're
is the
free.
overall feeling
You don't
that
have
comes
all
with
that
this
hate
new
and everything to
performative
hold you
respect
back.
given to
Yeah.
BTS. And I'm saying
That they can let it
performative
go and
because
keep
many
going.
times this respect comes with this backhanded compliment of I show you respect because you have power. Not
Uh-huh.
because
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
respect you as an artist.
I don't
or
actually
person.
respect you
When
as a
celebrities
person or
talk
an
about
artist,
but I'm
BTS,
scared
how
of-
many times
Yeah,
have
now
we
you're
heard
scared
so
of what can
popular.
happen.
that
Yeah.
armies are going
Yeah.
to kill you. I didn't mean it this way. Please don't come after me.
모자이크 둘, 셋. 잠깐만 뭐야?
나 BTS를 진짜 좋아하는데.
나 잠깐만.
선생님이 경고했잖아. BTS 선배님.
Our manager warned us we have to at least know all the BTS members' faces.
This attitude is not new. Remember that the big three rapper didn't diss his actual competition, not because he respected them, but because he was afraid of their power. So when celebrities start showing that they are okay with BTS despite past controversies, they keep highlighting the idea of respect because of power and not because of actual respect. It feels not genuine.
Yes.
And sometimes it's proven to be not
Proven
genuine.
not genuine.
Sometimes apologizing to BTS gives someone attention. It creates jealousy. So how can we even begin to distinguish which one is genuine?
Yeah.
Also, should we even
Yeah.
think
Should
about
we
it?
even deal with it? Yes.
At this point, I don't think they have to.
Yeah. Army
I've
can
noticed
think about
that
it if they
the
want, but
BTS fandom is
it's
very
good to just kind of let
welcoming
it
to
go.
anyone
Yep.
who associates
We have this joke. anybody that ARMY has a beef with, that we don't, that like we have an issue with that person or an issue with that fandom because they've treated BTS this way, it'll eventually be, they'll collab with them eventually. like I know that ARMY's had a huge beef with Sophia Carson because she like out of nowhere like walks up to the BTS members, she didn't even know who they were, on the red carpet, and just leans on J-Hope and gets a picture with them and waves and just walks away. We're like, who the heck is she?
I'm gonna join you guys for one. Hi guys.
Hi. Hello.
Who was she to do that? Like, just
Yeah,
go
to
up
do
to
that.
them with not being invited to go, like to introduce her,
Be
to say
pushy.
hi or
Be
anything. She
pushy.
just randomly.
Yeah.
And then she does a collab with Jimin, and it was great, and it was fine, and we like her, and she's, you know, where it's like we have to get over
We
it.
cannot pick up the grudges for them.
We can't hold the
We
grudge
can't hold
for
grudges,
them.
yes.
If BTS lets it go, we can choose to let it go
Yes.
as well. And that's as hard as
it goes
it is.
against our nature.
As hard as it is to do.
Yes.
Somebody was like, BTS may forgive, but ARMY never forgets.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what it is. So it's like, okay, but it's still, that made me laugh. I'm like,
You still have to kind of fluff
Yeah.
it off. You do.
oh.
And look how, and they know they're powerful.
Exactly. All right.
And-
I've noticed that the BTS fandom is very welcoming with anyone who associates with BTS, and we are. Like if they treat them well, if people treat BTS with normal human decency, we are happy about that.
I've seen that in some of their collabs and whatever. That people are shocked that the BTS fans clap and shout their name
Are
and
so happy,
and whatever,
yeah.
and they're like, wow,
they like the
wow,
nice. Yeah.
I'm getting received really well.
Exactly.
So
they're gonna
kudos to ARMY, yay!
and we're gonna talk about that.
Oh, do
so
they?
yeah,
Okay.
so we're gonna see that.
With BTS. It doesn't matter if they are famous singers, song producers, backup dancers, or interviewers. This is an overall good attitude. But we need to remember that at the end of the day, this is an industry.
It's an
the
industry.
mainstream entertainment industry doesn't always have the exact same type of dynamics between juniors and seniors that K-pop has. But the idea of respect because of power and not because of actual respect exists as well.
And
just
exists
because
everywhere.
someone working with BTS treats them nicely or compliments them non-stop doesn't mean that they are friends or that they truly
That's
like
true.
BTS's work.
Yeah.
I'm not the one saying this. BTS is. RM said, we run into several kinds of artists overseas. There's a kind who are like, oh, you guys are famous these days. Good job, I guess. Go for it.
Yeah,
and
go
seem to
for
look
it.
down on us a little. And those who are all business and go, I really want to do a song with you. And then there's a third category of people who are oddly positioned between those two. As an exception to these three categories, RM mentions Chris Martin of Coldplay. And by the way, this is the only friendship BTS had a section for in their book.
Goes, Chris Martin was none of these three. He's an exception.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Wow.
How neat is that they have that kind of friendship? And Coldplay is a band that has gone for, 20 years, 30 years.
And they're still
Is it 30
flying
years?
high.
It's like, when did Coldplay start? But yeah, they're going.
They're
And they're
still
going.
flying high.
They are
But
touring.
look what they did
It's
for
huge.
Jin. And
Yeah.
Look what they did for.
I feel like
know,
Chris
saying
Martin
they're
is
our
genuinely a
friends
good
and
person, and I feel really good about that. So that it's cool that they did add that in the
Well,
book.
he gave their guitar to
Yes,
them.
Jin was like, "Ooh, I like your guitar. Can I have it?" Yeah,
Yes,
here.
That's
Yeah, that is kindness. If you haven't read BTS's Beyond the Story, I highly recommend it. It is very good. I have the book. I have the audiobook too. The audiobook is really, really good. They did a really good job doing the narration for it. So, you haven't read the book yet.
No, I haven't.
I have to
I
give
probably
Mom a
need
copy
to,
of the book.
yes.
But yeah, it is good. It is really good. All right, on we go.
Knowing BTS's story, it's normal for fans to highlight the good interactions. It's nice to see that after everything they went through, BTS are finally receiving respect and common decency. But the respectful interactions we see on camera are not always what they look like. And I believe we shouldn't be pressured to thank, celebrate, and follow the other celebrity for being respectful.
True.
Unless I'm an actual fan of their work,
Highly
I'm
agree.
not following anyone who says hello to BTS. But
Highly
that's
agree.
just me.
많이
This is cool. This part is really cool.
At the end of the day, the BTS members are the ones deciding to move on. They are finally in a position to brush off the bad interactions,
let it go.
accept the superficial ones, and forgive the old ones. And one of the reasons they want to move on is because they want to stop juniors and small artists from going through what they went through. BTS never pretends their juniors don't exist. BTS greets everyone around them. BTS doesn't reject their juniors' gifts. They are the ones giving them.
Does that make you
BTS gives their juniors encouraging words. Some idols are even surprised that BTS would be kind, which makes me wonder how other seniors.
Yeah, what does he say? Because I really like BTS Somebody Name, especially V. It's like, how are they treated by others if just somebody saying hi to them?
What it is, it keeps them elevated when you put somebody down.
Yeah.
And then they rise up.
Yeah.
But BTS is just saying, we're friends with
and they
everybody.
are being kind.
Interact with
it's like,
juniors.
Yeah.
근데 정말 놀랐던 게
BTS were so kind to us.
제가 너무 감동받았어요. 근데 저희 무대도 칭찬해 주시고.
They praised our stage and told us we did good. They shook our hands.
BTS is purposefully using their seniority.
I remember this.
Yes, where he was so kind to them, and
J-Hope went in there and he gave them food to eat and everything, and he went in there and was so kind.
Yeah, and they're doing this purposely to change the experience of what their younger juniors go through. She sang on one of J-Hope's songs, on his album. It was very
experience of junior
She's from the Seraphim, I
선배님이랑
think.
진짜 사실 이렇게 대화할 기회가 없으니까 그냥 말 걸면 되는데 이게 말을 못 걸겠어요.
I couldn't have the nerve.
Yeah.
어렵다고 해요.
It's hard approaching senior artists.
왜요? 그 누구보다도 후배들이 오면 상담을 많이 해주는 편이에요.
사실 형한테 너무 감사한 게 그렇게 챙겨주시는 형이 형밖에
No one else looks out for us as much as you do.
형 왜 그렇게 저희를 챙겨주세요?
This one was fun. We need to watch some of the Suchitas. We haven't watched any, and I haven't watched any. I have held back. I want to watch Suchita.
Why are you so good to us?
Yeah, Yeonjun. He got. I saw clips of this. He got so drunk on this show. It's funny, but yeah, he's like, "Why are you so good to us?
형이 우리 형 너한테 이런 얘기 누가 해줘?
Who to tell you these things if we don't?"
너무 힘들고 우리는 물어볼 데도 없어.
We had no one to ask for advice when we were having a tough time.
사실 이런 선배님이 많이 없다고 생각해요. 찐으로 너무 감사하고 형한테
대인배라고 느껴지는 모먼트가 있잖아요. 취향이 얘기했던 대로 나는 그럴 사람이 없었다.
You didn't have anyone. You didn't. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You didn't have anyone, so you were like that to us. And that's not something that a lot of people really think about. It's like, well, I didn't have it, then you shouldn't have it.
Yeah, you should have it.
You know, we had to get through it our own. You guys get through it on your own. No, they're actually wanting to help and wanting to give advice.
It makes me want to like you.
Yeah, or be like you.
Be like you.
Yeah, and like them. They like them.
저런 선배가 돼야겠다.
나한테 돌려줄 필요는 없고.
Pass it on to the artists who come after you.
공식적으로 하고 싶은 얘기가 저희는 형들이랑
To
선배
officially say, since we have mentors like BTS, and you'd probably never say this to yourselves, but there's no one else like them. Nobody else like them in that industry.
뒀잖아요. 당연히 선배님들이 본인들 입으로 얘기하지 않으시겠지만 이런 사람들이
You know what? They stay kind, and that's hard to do in this business.
One of the many BTS songs about the dynamic between juniors and seniors and how they want to change it.
She's gonna go on, and I'm gonna say it. Because we kind of reacted to it, but it's hard to like listen and react at the same time.
Yes.
She's reading off words that are from Suga's song Snooze, which is one of my favorite songs from his album D-Day and was one of the best performances when he performed it it's the one that he was crying.
Yes.
One of the ones he cried on at the concert at the end of the last concert. But the lyrics, they just really hit, especially when they're read out. And even read out in the English translation, it's still so poignant. So that's how this one ends, so we're gonna watch it.
It could be a strenuous journey. The path I walked may have looked like it's made of flowers, but know that it was a thorny one, with enemies surrounding on all sides. I hope you never forget those who throw flowers onto your path for you. When you're smiling, don't ever forget about those who are crying, because it's your smile that helps them live through the day. When the repetitive schedules erase you, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to take a brief rest. Cry out loud when you become to hate the world. When the hands that used to greet you turn into fingers pointed at you. You surviving on snoozes to get closer to your dream. It's okay to rest. Today at least, don't even dream. When you silently show me a faint smile, only then I feel a little relieved. This place is a war zone without gunshots. Your peers are your enemies. The brutal yet beautiful good and evil, determined by numbers. When I fail to kill someone else, I become the one to die. Why do I have to kill someone when this scene is not a boxing ring? I hope you never laugh at someone else's misfortune because you never know if you'll find yourself in the same situation. Behind you, growing a dream while watching me. I'll always be standing, so don't worry too much. If you're afraid of falling, I'll gladly catch you. So don't suffer like I did.
Wow.
Dream.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why, like, even now, they're multimillionaires. But they enjoy the sweetest little gifts that they get.
Yeah.
They get so excited over the smallest little things.
Yeah.
You know, and they're buying these big houses and everything. And a lot of people would go, "Yeah, now they're rich."
But any kindness that they receive,
it hasn't changed them.
No.
Is what I think. What I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
They
exactly.
are still. When you go through what they went through, and you're successful,
it can
and maybe
either
you
make
money.
you very jaded and hard and bitter.
Yeah. And uppity, you know, kind of conceited.
Yeah,
whatever,
conceited.
And they have not gone there.
They
don't allude that at all.
Yeah, and even from people that did like the concerts with them when they did Permission to Dance concerts, just in 2021, the people backstage were like, they were cleaning up after themselves. They were saying hi to us. They were, say, "Oh no, I'll get that." They were trying to help do things.
Yeah. Like a janitor, somebody that's
in 2021.
Sweeping, they're going, "Give me the broom," and they're helping and picking up things.
Yes. In the concerts, and they didn't have to do that.
Now that's real respect.
Yeah. That's worthy of respect.
Yes.
In my opinion. And
it's giving and worthy of them to give them respect for that. And they do.
Yes.
People, when they're treated like that, it does nothing but to make their thoughts of you go higher.
And BTS don't even do that for that reason.
No, that's
they just do
them.
it because it's who they are. And I'm so glad that they're such good people.
How did they learn to be who they are?
From each other.
The hard knocks.
The hard knocks, yeah.
And they stuck together in unity through it all.
So you understand why I really wanted you to watch this.
Yeah.
This was a good one. This was really good.
It's an understanding of BTS in a whole different
aspect.
Yeah.
And I like how she put this together, because we've seen the hardships video and what they've gone through, but not in the idea of this particular dynamic.
Yeah, this was good.
It makes a lot of sense, and it confirmed a lot of things that I had already thought. So I was very glad that Boracity magazine put this out. She has some amazing videos. I haven't seen one of hers that has gone wrong. I highly recommend anything.
See something like this,
out.
Your respect for them goes way high.
Exactly.
Yeah, that they overcame this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they came out on top. Not just on top financially and musically, but they're on top because of who they are.
Yes. As people. And their character.
Yep. As well as their performances.
Their talent and their character are both way up there.
Yay! BTS, love you!
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see you guys for the next one. Bye.
Bye.